We got breaking news on the Fan presented by BetQL. Smarter bets start with BetQL. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today here on Shan, RJ, and Bobby. It's live on the Fan Cam, Twitch, and YouTube. Look at that miserable SOB. Look at that picture. Bill Belichick
on to Cleveland
is leaving the New England Patriots. Pete Carroll, Nick Saban, Bill Belichick, all gone. Just like that.
All gone. All gone in not even 24 hours. In 18. In 18 hours, they're all gone.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
And you know what's interesting, too, is that, It was last 2 seasons have been bad for them. So I guess it was 3 years ago that when they got to the playoffs with Mac Jones and went 10-7 and were playing the way they were, like, people were talking about, oh, yeah, Belichick's clearly got it still. But, like, what he's getting out of this football team, It has been an aggressive turn over these last 2 years.
And, Choppy, the other day you sent kind of an inside the Patriot drama story from the Boston Herald, and it was just trying to unpack all of the drama. They interviewed more than a dozen team sources who spoke on the condition of anonymity, fear of retribution from the Patriots, but they described an offense undone by a quiet type of dysfunction, a broken quarterback, and finger pointing between the coaching staff and front office. A locker room source said, quote, "This was messed up from the beginning. Nothing like I expected. Not at all."
Yeah, and you know, they're talking about Bill O'Brien and his frustration with the lack of development as the season wore on.
That Bill actually wanted to keep Matt Patricia as the OC. That's what this says.
Yeah, it did.
Ooh.
And you know,
Kraft was like, no, that's not going to work. Go and get Bill O'Brien or someone else.
So, and then, like, you know, they were talking about pointing fingers at decision makers about the talent that was available. And, you know, the team's pass protection was ranked 5th worst. And then last by ESPN's pass block win rate for the year. And, you know, they didn't invest in the offensive line until the 4th round. Didn't take a receiver until the 6th. How do you spend the first 3 picks on defense when tackle was the biggest problem on your team? That was just one of the quotes that was out there. You know, they had Mac Jones versus Bailey Zappi, and you know, now one of the tenured sources said the players still respond to Bill. They're still responding, and they have a lot of squad meetings. He shows them what's going to happen in the game, and it always happens, even down to what the team can't do. He's like, you guys can't do this, so this is going to happen, and we're not going to be able to stop this. And he's still right on these things, but it's a mess. It really is a mess right now.
This is a wild note that The Athletic had last week, that Bill Belichick has not signed a player that he picked in the top 100 to a second contract since 2012.
What?
It's been more than a decade since he picked a player in the top 100 and they got a second contract in New England.
What the Cowboys eat and breathe.
That's considered a marker of success. Did you get a second contract? Were you worthy of a second contract? And so now there's a lot of Bill also built
guys
a
left
system
and then came back.
Well, and Bill also built a system that said and took advantage of it for years that said we're going to take advantage of the compensatory picks. We're going to let guys go, replace them with cheaper players, get the high comp pick, and it worked for a lot of years. But that also works when you have Tom Brady as your quarterback.
It does. It's easier to. Look, when you have an elite quarterback, you can make mistakes. You have the affordability to make mistakes. Look, the Chiefs haven't invested at all in their wide receivers. They're the 3 seed. They won the Super Bowl last year.
Won the West.
What's that?
Won the division.
And won the division. And this is a down year, and they still won because they're allowed to make mistakes because of Mahomes. And when you lose that, you can't make mistakes anymore. You got to be perfect. Now, yeah, since then, they drafted Chandler Jones in the first round of 2012. Then they let him
chance him, yeah.
Right, they let him go. Jamie Collins, they draft him, they let him go. He comes back. So their just philosophy is, like you said, take advantage of the compensatory picks. Let's move on.
So a lot of people are waiting to now see not only where Belichick goes, but when does Mike Vrabel go to New England? Before we get to that, Bobby, you know how you talked about a coordinated timing of reports, talking about Mike McCarthy's job status over the weekend? The same thing happened yesterday with Dan Quinn. As soon as the Pete Carroll news came out that he was leaving Seattle, Rapoport, Schefter, bam, bam, look for Dan Quinn to be a major name of interest.
And a heavy betting favorite so far. If you look at the betting market stuff, like most people have put out odds, like everybody has Quinn as the top candidate. Now there's a couple of the people out there putting out odds have him tied for first order, but everybody has Dan Quinn either first or tied for first as the coaching hire here. And it makes a ton of sense. Like, he still talks really glowingly about Seattle. A lot of the decision makers in that front office, John Schneider is still there. Those were people who thought really highly of him. I would think that this is an opportunity that he'd be really excited about if he was able to get. This would be up near the top of his list.
I think this Seattle connection, how do I say this? Not is overblown. Yeah, it's overrated. Like, so freaking. Not that they don't love Dan Quinn. If I'm Dan Quinn, okay, I have to love John Schneider so much more than any other general manager out there. I'm just not going to be like married to the Seahawks because of the Legion of Boom. Where's the quarterback? Where's the quarterback with another GM that I like? I feel like we're marrying. The media is marrying Dan Quinn to the Seahawks too much when Dan Quinn can have more options than that.
But DQ is a guy who clearly, you don't have to know Dan Quinn or hear him talk about it to know, just based on reports that we've seen over the last couple of years, he absolutely wants to go somewhere with a specific general manager in mind. I'm not saying it has to be one guy, but what were the reports we heard consistently? He wanted to partner up with George Payton. When there was talk about him getting a job years ago, Denver, he wanted to partner up with, Denver. When he got the Atlanta job, there was talk about him partnering up with Payton, that was important to him. We've heard
what GM does he want?
We've heard some rumblings that if he were to get a job, it might be advantageous that I'll go find a job that has a GM opening, and I can, Will McClay can come with us.
The Chargers is that. They don't have a GM.
And John Schneider is probably one of the few jobs that he would say, I'll take that, because Schneider is a guy that I respect and think highly of. So he definitely, I think, part of the decision to go take a head coaching job is based on how tight am I with this front office? How close am I? Because he is unique as a coach. One of the things that people really love about him here in Dallas, he's unique as a coach, and that typically you do have kind of coaches over here, personnel over here, players over here, and that they all kind of have their own interests. Dan Quinn is known and praised widely for being a guy who just connects with each one of those groups, despite the typical self-interest you would have as a coach.
I just think he should look more at the quarterback first.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. You go where the quarterback is, as far as I'm concerned.
Let's look at the job openings. All right.
They probably have, the second best quarterback of all the job openings?
Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, you got the Chargers is number one.
Chargers
is that higher than Bryce Young?
Seattle?
Yeah, are you, like I'm saying, are you that down on Bryce Young now?
Oh, no, it's an unknown. I mean, Geno's shown that he's good enough.
But it's a youth thing.
It's
and
a youth
future.
thing,
Like, we know what
upside,
Geno we think we know what Geno is. Props to him for changing the initial narrative, but it's a better quarterback situation. I would rather have the DC set up with the high pick.
I'm not going to argue with that.
DC, Carolina, ? It's better than the Atlanta situation.
Better than New England.
It's better than New England. And what's going to happen with Vegas? So, yeah, I guess it could be much worse. Maybe John Schneider's that tipping point, being like, let's do it. But if you could, you threw in Will McClay there real quick. Expand on that.
I mean, and I asked Nick about it yesterday.
Because I know that Will McClay is really, really tight with Steven. That I know I feel comfortable saying on the radio, 100,000 watts. He has that, or is he that tight? Same thing with Quinn?
Yeah, I mean, they're close. So here's the thing. I think that there's like I said, when we've talked about, that was a Rod Marinelli pick. Like, he won out over the personnel department, or, that was a Jason Garrett guy. He pounded the table and he had his own interests, and that superseded what the scouts wanted or whatever else, or the scouts went out over these coaches. Quinn really, I think, made a positive impact first thing when he got in the door with Will McClay specifically and that entire staff, because he came in and said, I trust what you guys do. You guys are really damn good at your jobs. So what I just want to do is I want to communicate to you, these are my standards. These are what I look for. And I'm going to trust you to go find me the players that fit that. But I'm going to be ultra communicative and say, this is what I want in my players. These are the types of guys I want. And then Dan Quinn goes on the road a lot. Like, how often do we see Dan Quinn's at a pro day? He's working guys out. He's doing this. Dan Quinn goes on the road and really works on evaluating the players with the personnel department. And I just think that's something naturally that Will McClay has a big respect for. And I think they really like each other. I think they have a good relationship.
more on the Titans fallout. Man, the level of pettiness from this owner, and she's getting destroyed everywhere. This is Ian Rapoport explaining why Amy Adams, in part, wanted Mike Vrabel gone on the NFL Network.
It was not Rand Carthon who fired Mike Vrabel. In fact, I think if you would give him his choice, a lot of reasons why Vrabel would be a great head coach to move forward with. One of those reasons is he's very, very good. This was Amy Adams Strunk making the decision that based on a lot of things, including what happened when he went to New England for the Hall of Fame thing, including not dispelling rumors in-house that he was going to be the Patriots coach. I mean, there was a lot there, and she clearly made the decision that she wanted to move on in the best interest of the organization. And now it is going to be Rand Carthon leading the search for a new leader of men.
Threw that in there. Mike Vrabel's Ring of Honor Patriots speech. How long is it, Peyton? You can say it on air.
45 seconds.
45 seconds. That's perfect. Good job. So Spittle sent this over. This was Vrabel. What?
That was me that said it. Whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry.
RJ
Good job,
sent it as
Choppy.
well, yeah.
My job. My bad. Good job.
Maybe he did. I don't know. I didn't see it.
He sent it to me and Pepe. This was Vrabel at Foxborough getting inducted.
Come on, we got a game to win. I can't be up here that long. I can imagine how you screamed and yelled at the night games on third down and when you threw the snow and every memory that comes back right now. So I want to thank you fans, okay, for the opportunity to stand here today in front of you. Also in front of my teammates, I want to thank them. I want to recognize Logan Makins, Bill Parcells, Dante Scarnecchia, who was one of the toughest assistant coaches I've ever been a part of in 25 years of the National Football League. But I also want you not to take this organization for granted. I've been a lot of places. This is a special place with great leadership, great fans, great direction, great coaching. Enjoy it. It's not like this everywhere.
Not like this everywhere. We got a game to win. Why? Green is not a good look on Amy Adams. Okay, the green greed of jealousy.
Man.
All right.
He didn't say this is the best place in the National Football League.
No. This is.
We got a game. Okay, there was nothing that offensive about that.
Nothing offensive.
I was expecting to hear like some passive aggressive shade towards the Titans.
She broke cardinal rule number 1. She let her money get mad. It's a classic example of a Nepo baby out there. It was insecure.
I know someone like that. Wet Willie, old Wet Willie. Out there.
Yeah, where's the Wet Willie?
Yeah.
When the parental is the billionaire, is the entrepreneur, is the genius, and then you're the child. You got to make the money. You got to make a name for yourself, right? You got to make a name for yourself. There's this insecurity that's built in there. It's totally human nature. I get it. I mean, it's probably not something that she even could control. Like a lot of children of billionaires have that issue. Like, how do I prove my worth to the world? Because everybody thinks I just got it from mom or dad.
Sure. Yeah, you get a job that somebody doesn't think you deserve. You need to go in and make a mark.
Right.
You need to show, well, I can do this.
And there's a general built-in insecurity with that. And this was an insecure move on her part. I mean, she let her money get mad, man. She did not make a decision in the best interest of the Tennessee Titans.
We are going to get, according to Ian Rapoport, we are going to get the joint press conference at noon today between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick.
Ooh.
Hello, Patriot fans.
Oh, my. So news is breaking everywhere. No other reason to go anywhere else than DFW Sports Station.